Hamilton was supposed to be the driver adapting to Ferrari, but the data now suggests Ferrari may be adapting to Hamilton. After 7 rounds, Hamilton has 115 points. Leclerc has 75. That is a 40-point gap inside the same garage. The qualifying battle has flipped 4-3 in Hamilton's favor. And after Barcelona, Hamilton did not just beat Leclerc. He won Ferrari's first race of the season, but the shocking part is not the result, is the reason behind it. Telemetry shows this new Ferrari rewards smooth exits, stable balance, energy control, and cleaner traction, the exact areas where Hamilton is beginning to take over. Leclerc is still fast, but the SF26 may no longer be built around the kind of aggression that made him Ferrari's natural leader. And if that is true, Ferrari's biggest battle is not against Mercedes. It is happening inside its own garage. Subscribe to the channel. At first, Ferrari's internal battle looked like it belonged to Leclerc. That was the logical expectation. He knew the team. He knew the pressure. He knew the strange emotional weight of wearing red better than almost anyone on the grid. He had already lived through the highs, the heartbreaks, the strategy mistakes, the near misses, and the brutal Saturdays where Ferrari expects magic from one lap. Hamilton arrived with more history than any driver on the grid, but he also arrived as the outsider. New systems, new engineers, new software tools, new car behavior, new power unit demands, new ways of communicating inside the garage. And in a regulation reset as huge as 2026, that is not a small disadvantage. So the early story was simple. Leclerc would start as the Ferrari reference. Hamilton would need time. That made sense. And early on, parts of the data supported it. Leclerc still had the sharpness. He still had the natural aggression. He still looked capable of attacking the SF26 in a way only a driver fully comfortable inside Ferrari could do. Through the opening phase of the season, he led several internal measures, and it looked like Hamilton was still assembling the final details. But then the story started to move. Slowly at first, then all at once. Because Hamilton was not just learning Ferrari, he was finding a different part of the car. And that is where the shocking difference begins. The SF26 does not behave like older Ferrari cars. It does not simply reward the driver who attacks hardest into the corner. It does not only reward late braking, sharp rotation, and pure qualifying aggression. The new car asks for something more controlled. Smooth exits, stable mid-corner balance, careful energy use, clean traction when the electrical power arrives. That is the key. The 2026 cars have much more electrical power than before. That means the driver cannot just stamp on the throttle and hope the rear tires accept it. If the car slides, if it spins, if the driver wastes power at the wrong moment, the lap suffers later. Every exit matters. Every deployment phase matters. Every moment of instability can cost time not just in that corner, but down the next straight. And that kind of car begins to sound very familiar. Because Hamilton has built a career on feeling grip, managing power, protecting tires, and turning small advantages into race-long pressure. That does not mean Leclerc cannot do those things. Of course he can. But Leclerc's natural weapon has always been more explosive. He can throw a car into a qualifying lap with frightening commitment. He can brake impossibly late, carry confidence into the entry, and find grip where most drivers would hesitate. In the right car, that is devastating. But if the SF26 is now asking for calmer exits, smoother energy control, and a wider operating window, then Hamilton's style begins to look more valuable than people expected. That is why the early preseason clues matter. At Ferrari's private shakedown, Hamilton reportedly adapted faster than expected. His throttle management stood out. His mid-corner stability stood out. His slow corner exits stood out. Those details sound small. They are not. They are the exact details that define whether this new Ferrari can turn power into usable speed. A driver can look spectacular on entry, but if the exit is messy, the lap bleeds time. A driver can attack the corner, but if the rear tires cannot accept the power cleanly, the car loses acceleration. A driver can brake late, but if the energy recovery and deployment rhythm is wrong, the next straight becomes weaker. This is why Hamilton's progress became dangerous for Leclerc. Because Hamilton was not only getting comfortable, he was getting comfortable in the areas the car seems to value most. Then Bahrain testing briefly complicated the picture. Leclerc appeared to extract the aerodynamic window more consistently. Hamilton was seen locking up more often, which suggested he was still not fully calibrated to Ferrari's braking characteristics. That gave Leclerc supporters a reason to believe the old order would hold. But Formula One development is never frozen. The car changes. The setup changes. The driver changes. The team learns. And after the early races, the direction began to tilt. Australia still favored Leclerc inside Ferrari. He finished third, Hamilton fourth, and he held the early points advantage. That mattered because it showed Leclerc had not lost anything. He was still quick, still sharp, still capable of being the lead Ferrari when the car gave him a platform. But China gave Hamilton his first big sign. He took his first Ferrari podium, beating Leclerc to third. That result showed he was beginning to understand the medium downforce window of the car better. He was not just surviving inside Ferrari anymore. He was starting to use it. Then Miami revealed something even bigger. Ferrari brought a major upgrade package, 11 significant changes across the car. On paper, that should have been a turning point for the whole team. But the telemetry exposed a brutal problem. The Ferrari hybrid system was clipping on the straights, cutting electrical power too early, around 200 meters before the end of the straight. Mercedes, by contrast, was still deploying energy all the way through. That meant Ferrari was losing power at the exact moment the driver needed it to attack or defend. For Hamilton, that was especially damaging. A driver can feel when the car stops pulling. He can feel when he has done everything right through the corner, but the straight does not give him the reward. He can feel when a rival continues accelerating while his own system fades away. That is not only frustrating, it changes the way you race. You defend earlier. You attack differently. You prepare the lap with more caution. You start thinking about the limits of the car before the fight even begins. After Miami, Hamilton signaled a change in his race preparation approach, and that detail matters. It suggests he was not just complaining about the car. He was adapting to the car's weaknesses, building a new method around them. That is what great drivers do. They do not only wait for the car to become perfect. They change themselves until the car gives them something back. And then came Barcelona. This is the moment the internal Ferrari story flipped. Hamilton qualified second, just 0.064 seconds from pole, then converted that pace into Ferrari's first win of the season. Not a podium, not damage limitation, a win. His first as a Ferrari driver. And the timing could not have been more important, because by then, Hamilton had moved to 115 points. Leclerc was on 75. The qualifying head-to-head had flipped 4-3 in Hamilton's favor. The driver who was supposed to be adapting had suddenly become the driver leading the team's championship push. That is not a small shift. That is a change in gravity. Inside a team, gravity moves toward the driver who gives the clearest results. Engineers listen differently. Setup meetings feel different. Development priorities start leaning toward the performance window that produces points. The driver who converts upgrades into trophies becomes harder to ignore. And after Barcelona, Hamilton gave Ferrari the clearest evidence it had all season. The car could win, but more importantly, it could win in his hands. That is what puts pressure on Leclerc. Because Leclerc is not being beaten by a driver who simply found one lucky weekend. He is being challenged by a driver whose style may now match the car's direction more closely. That is the uncomfortable part. Leclerc's aggression is still a weapon. His qualifying confidence is still a weapon. His ability to pull one lap out of a car is still one of the most dangerous skills in Formula One. But if the SF26 keeps rewarding smoother exits, cleaner traction, and energy discipline, then Leclerc has to adjust more than Hamilton does. And that changes the entire teammate battle. Because adaptation is not equal when one driver's natural style already fits the target better. Hamilton is not just closing the gap. He may be making Ferrari's new car feel more like his kind of weapon. That is why this story is bigger than points. The 40-point gap matters. The 4-3 qualifying edge matters. The Barcelona win matters. But those are symptoms. The deeper issue is compatibility. Hamilton appears to be moving with the SF26. Leclerc appears to be fighting parts of it. And if that pattern continues, Ferrari will face a decision it never expected this early. Does it keep treating the battle as equal because Leclerc is the Ferrari cornerstone? Or does it follow the data, the points, and the win, and accept that Hamilton may already be the better championship bet? That is where the tension begins. Because Ferrari is not just a racing team. Ferrari is pressure with wheels. Every decision is emotional. Every strategy call becomes a debate. Every teammate gap becomes a headline. And when the driver wearing red with the biggest legacy in the sport starts outperforming the driver many believe Ferrari would build around, the garage changes. Nobody has to say it out loud. The data says it first. And right now, the data is asking a question Leclerc must answer quickly. Is this still his Ferrari era, or has Hamilton already started taking it from him? Then the telemetry begins to reveal the part Ferrari cannot hide, because the difference between Hamilton and Leclerc is not just showing up in the points table, is showing up in the way each driver is trying to make the SF26 work. That matters because the scoreboard can sometimes lie. A safety car can change a result. A strategy call can flatter one driver and damage another. Traffic can ruin a stint. Tire timing can make a weekend look better than it really was. One clean race can cover a deeper problem, and one messy race can make a driver look worse than he actually was. But telemetry is colder. It shows where the time is being made. And in 2026, the time is not only in braking later or carrying more speed through a corner. The time is in how the car behaves after that. How early can the driver get back to power? How cleanly does the rear axle accept the torque? How much electrical energy is being used and how much is being wasted? How stable is the car when the aerodynamic balance changes? How much confidence does the driver have when the car is no longer behaving like the Ferrari he remembers? That is where Hamilton and Leclerc begin to separate. Leclerc's old strength has always been corner entry. He is one of the most committed drivers in Formula One when the front end gives him confidence. He can attack the braking zone with a kind of violence that looks impossible from the outside. He can carry speed into a corner and trust the car to rotate at the last possible moment. When the car rewards that, Leclerc looks untouchable. But the SF26 is not only rewarding that. It is asking for something different after the entry. The exit has become more important. The electrical deployment has become more important. The stability of the rear tires has become more important. And that is where Hamilton's style begins to look more dangerous.